Hey book readers, I'll keep this intro short, similar to the 10 books I'm about to recommend. They're like positive haikus or Danny DeVito complimenting your manners. Short and sweet. So here they are, 10 quick reads under 150 pages, ordered from shortest to longest. First off, at 87 pages is The Lies of the Ajungo by Moses Osei-Utomi. Here's a brief synopsis of this one. A few days before he turns 13 and has his tongue cut off, a boy named Tutu must find water in a desert to save his mother and his people. This concise book gets pretty deep pretty fast, with an emphasis on contrasting elements like truth and lies, friends and foes, and it has a dark fairy tale vibe to it, along the lines of a Grimm Brothers story. And while Tutu goes on this epic quest, rest assured that it'll be over in the blink of an eye. Surprisingly though, a good chunk of world building happens, giving you a lot to chew on by the end. Next up is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor at 96 pages. Binti, a brilliant young lady from the Himba tribe of Earth, accepts the opportunity to attend the prestigious Umza University in outer space on a math scholarship. Yay, numbers! This is a big decision for her, since her people are isolationists, preferring to remain on their ancestral land on Earth rather than go sightseeing around the galaxy. I don't know, maybe there was a mishap with luggage on a trip to Alpha Centauri or something. I mean, we all know that traveling is probably more of an annoyance than it's worth, so I get it. Once Binti sets off toward her academic destination, the novella digs into her struggles with identity, cultural differences, and what her decision means in the grand scheme of things for her and her people. Soon she comes into contact with a jellyfish-like alien race, the Meduse, and the tension gets ratcheted up to an 11. So this kid on her way to college now has to deal with xenophobia while seeking common ground with other races and species. Basically just so she can get to school and pass her classes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you shoot a coming-of-age story out of a cannon in less than 100 pages. And next on my list is And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Bachman, and this comes in at 97 pages. This book has heart. Like almost every Bachman novel, he uncovers the extraordinary in ordinary people. And this time it's a senior special. And not the final year of high school about to get in massive student loan debt for college senior, I'm talking old people. This book explores the tender bond between a grandfather and his grandson. They're just sitting, chatting. But if you're familiar with Bachman's work, you know that his characters are always going through something deep inside them that makes larger and larger surface level waves as the book goes along. And in this book, we're sneaking a peek at the two characters' relationship and how the grandfather's fading memories are impacting everything. It's a bittersweet novella about love, acceptance, and the connection between grandparents and grandkids. But it's also a friendly reminder that father time is undefeated. Coming in at 105 pages is Quidditch Through the Ages by J.K. Rowling. Ever think you'd make an excellent seeker even though you're a muggle? If you've got an itch for the golden snitch, this book from the Potterverse is for you. It's all about the magical sport of Quidditch. Written by fictional author Kenilworthy Wisp, Quidditch Through the Ages takes an in-depth look at the game's history, rules, famous teams, and memorable sporting moments. Clearly, Rowling had a blast fleshing out everyone's favorite wizarding game, which barely edges out Wizard's Chess, by the way. She puts together charming stories and imaginative myths that any sports fan or Hogwarts aficionado will love, no matter your house. Up next is Love Poems for Married People by John Kenny, and this is 112 pages. This is a collection of poems that, if you've had a significant other for a significant period of time, you'll either love or hate. I'd say some of it is stereotypical nonsense, and some of it is spot on. There is some language, so be aware of that going in. These aren't cute poems that'll make you feel all cuddly-wuddly inside necessarily. And you won't love all of them, because although the theme of the poem seems narrow, there are surprisingly a broad range of topics covered. However, it'll take you like an hour to read, and even if you crack up at just a few of the poems, it's so worth it. So I'll go ahead and read one of the poems now just to give you an idea of what you're in for. This one is titled, Why Are You in the Shower With Me? Did the bathtub shrink? Ask because here we are, naked, showering together, like we once did all the time. Remember, at the beginning? We would stand and talk, seals slipping by one another, a playful ease letting the other into the stream. Now, I'm not sure what you're doing in here. I'm freezing. There's shampoo stinging my eyes. You just stepped on my foot. For the love of Christ, who flushed the toilet? Because I'm being scalded alive. Get out. Now. It was a nice idea though, honey. Could you close the door? And like I said, just be warned if you're going to read this that it has, or it should have, a mature rating. NSFW, if you know what I mean. Next up is Arch-Conspirator by Veronica Roth, who is the author of the Divergent series, and this checks in at 112 pages. This story is a retelling of the Greek myth of Antigone. Now, I should say that I had no idea who Antigone was going into this book. Never heard of her. Although the name seems perfect for a product you spray on something you want to never get rid of.
Want your cat to live forever? Introducing Antigone. One spray and it'll stay that way.
Please, don't leave me like everyone else. Okay, that took some time and effort, so I'm just going to mail this one in and read the book jacket description. Outside the last city on Earth, the planet is a wasteland. Without the archive where the genes of the dead are stored, humanity will end. Passing into the archive should be cause for celebration, but Antigone's parents were murdered, leaving her father's throne vacant. As her militant Uncle Creon rises to claim it, all Antigone feels is rage. When he welcomes her and her siblings into his mansion, Antigone sees it for what it really is, a gilded cage, where she is a captive as well as a guest. But her uncle will soon learn that no cage is unbreakable, and neither is he. So this book has a gritty, sci-fi dystopian edge to it. There's some rapid-fire world building, multiple POVs with alternating chapters, and a skosh of eugenics. In other words, Arch-Conspirator packs a lot into a short space. It's also important to remember that the original by Sophocles was a tragedy, so it's not one to read if you're hoping for a happy ending or your cat to live forever. My next recommendation is Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher, and this is 116 pages. I've talked about this fantasy novella before. It's a retelling of Sleeping Beauty that flips the script on who you're rooting for and what the love story is exactly. Focusing almost exclusively on two characters, this fairy tale puts a new twist on the relationships and family dynamics you're familiar with. And this book flies by. It jumps from the present to the past, and the human realm to the fairy world. Through these different settings, the story explores nature versus nurture and how, although we can no longer change our pasts, future decisions and personal outcomes are in our own hands. Next up is Two Old Women by Velma Wallace, and this one is 140 pages. This story is set in the harsh wilderness of Alaska and based on an Athabascan Indian legend. In it, a tribe is experiencing a brutal famine. With the people so desperate to survive, two of their elderly women in their 70s or 80s are abandoned, meaning two less mouths to feed. Of course, these old women are expected to die quickly, but instead, they confront their fears and limitations, remembering old survival techniques and wisdom as they struggle to stay alive in an unforgiving land. Yes, these resourceful senior citizens tap into their long dormant know-how to persevere in the face of difficult conditions.
I guess they're right. Senior citizens, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose.
I'll be right back. Don't you go dying on me!
The book touches on themes of friendship and resilience, showing that courage is possible no matter your age. And now I'll talk about The Colors of Space by Marion Zimmer Bradley, which is 141 pages long. Here's a classic sci-fi space adventure novel where the main character, Bart Steele, is forced to grow up fast. After graduating from space school, he's supposed to get picked up by his dad and go home. However, his father never shows. Soon thereafter, Bart has to go on the run from the Lahari, an alien race who basically have a monopoly over interstellar travel due to their warp drive technology, which they keep a really closely guarded secret. Oh, and the Laharan can't see color. Part of Bart's mission includes going undercover in order to unravel the secrets of this alien tech. It's interstellar espionage in the name of putting other races on a level playing field with the Laharans, so they aren't the only business in town. Just a heads up that this was written for, originally, a YA audience, so the writing is simple and to the point. The characters are good, but it's the interesting plot with the haves and the have-nots that makes this book so successful. And last up, squeaking in just under 150 pages at 149 pages, is The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval. Apparently, this is a retelling of H.P. Lovecraft's story, The Horror at Red Hook. I've never read that, and I don't think you need to in order to enjoy this horror novella set in 1920s New York. It's a hypnotic, atmospheric urban fantasy with a main character, Charles Tester, who's a no-talent street musician and swindler that does what it takes to survive and help the people he loves. Unfortunately, Charles gets involved with a mysterious sorcerer and a wealthy, upper-class gentleman who's interested in the occult. It's thrilling, terrifying, unputdownable, and a book that you can finish in just a couple of days. There you have it, 10 books that check in at under 150 pages. Read them while wearing shorts, while eating short ribs, or watching a movie starring Martin Short. But also remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy reading.